Doom Nation, what is up? Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Two Doom Men podcast. As always, make sure you like, share, and subscribe. You can hear us where all major podcasts are found, and you can also find us everywhere Trump is banned. IG is @2DoomMen_podcast, Twitter is @MenDoomed, and our Facebook is @2DoomedMen. And the fastest way to find us everywhere is through linktree.com/2DoomMen. Thank you, Doom Nation. Have a great day.
That's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
Founded by men of many nations and backgrounds.
Ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We have a liftoff.
Doom Nation, what is up? We are here once again in the shack in the back. I'm sorry. It is Skaggs and the Captain, as always, and we have a very special guest, one of Doom Nation's very own,
Yes.
Casey. How you doing, Casey?
Yeah, I'm good. Thanks for having me on, guys.
Of course, we're super excited to have you on. So as always, guys, make sure you like, share, and subscribe. It's right there, right there. This is what happens when you like, share, and subscribe. We have you come on the show and shoot the shit with us and have a few drinks. Cheers.
Yeah. Man.
There we go. Yeah, you need some of that good old.
I'm going to be doing some blasphemy here. I'm going to be
Yeah.
filling up my beer from our beer review cup with some Woodford Reserve.
Nice little
was too-
Woodford IPA.
I was too lazy to go get another glass.
All right, so you wanna tell Doom Nation what we're talking about here today?
So, as always, there's a never-ending stream of things to
Of
talk
hypocrisy.
about. So today we're going to talk about U.S. Olympian Gwen Barry and her whole situation where she decided to turn away from the flag. We're going to talk a little bit also about critical race theory again, which is seeing tremendous backlash
Yes, thank
around
God.
the country. We're going to talk about some hypocritical statements by Jen Psaki,
Yep.
right?
I thought she was quitting, man. What is she still doing here?
She is going to at some point
Okay.
retire. And she was saying how Republicans are now the party of defunding the police. It's not,
Yep.
and the Democrats.
That's what we're gonna get into.
And what was the other thing? I forgot what you said.
Probably the Delta variant.
Okay.
Yeah,
Sure.
because I mean, we're gonna end up talking about COVID anyway. We've been doing it for a year, so why not? So, Casey, introduce yourself to Doom Nation.
Hey, everybody. I'm Casey Baker. I'm in a flyover state. Basically, I discovered Two Doomed Men by one of y'all's social posts. You know, you guys are a meme factory, and it's just so relevant seeing the jester poke fun of the king. You know what I mean? And that's the way you can safely get it. Get in the right words and get the right communication and tell the story out. But I just love your guys' content, plugged into your podcast.
Thank you.
Just been all good from there on out.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was gonna ask you, do you remember like the first podcast you heard, or how you found? Obviously, you said you found us through social media, but or any of your favorite podcasts that you really remember just laughing to?
Man, you guys, you said it yourself, man. Like there's just piles of nonsense out
Yeah.
there. I can't remember the first milestone of ridiculousness, but I'm pretty sure it was at the expense of the Biden administration. So,
Oh,
Probably.
Yeah, definitely. We've been harping on him since the Trump administration. So
That's funny. It's good to know too, because I feel like sometimes I'm wasting my time. I hate social media, really.
Yeah.
And I feel like I'm wasting my time sometimes, but no, I guess I'm not.
Yeah.
Right? We made a fan through it. I
yeah,
guess you could
and
say.
it's crazy too, because like, you know, friends and family, they're like, oh, how do you just get on, you know, a podcast or like do the radio and stuff and like not worry about it? Because I'm kind of like in the back of my head, like, oh, no one's listening to this. Like, we're just gonna run wild and do whatever. And here we go. We got actual proof that people are listening. So it's super awesome. You've been a great fan. You're awesome with, you know, interacting and stuff. And that's what we try and get out of the fan base. We don't find many people who oppose us. So there's really no debate to be had.
Yeah.
But it is nice to have, there is this group of of fans, I guess, from Doom Nation that really interact, and you're one of them on the forefront.
Yeah.
And it's great. We love it.
Yeah, definitely. You're one of the best. Like, you're always sending us stuff, and me and you have had like a million conversations.
Oh, that I was
on
going
the
to ask him.
Instagram message.
I was going to say, who do you?
Back and forth. I share good shit. You guys share good shit, and it's something my mom always said. If you always tell the truth, you don't have to remember anything.
Right.
And we always seem to just be talking about just pursuing the truth left and right. So it's an honor to be here, guys. Truly.
I'm glad you're excited. I was going to ask, who do you think you were talking to all this time through Instagram?
That's a good question. I just kind of associate you two as one person.
Okay,
one entity. So it makes it
hive
easy.
mind.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's both of us sometimes. Even like us posting things, it's both of us. I'd say probably it's more me. It's probably like 70-30, 70.
Yeah, you have more time than I do.
Like
so.
Yeah. All right. So anything else?
No, man, I'm excited. Let's get this going.
You want to start with Gwen Barry?
Oh yeah, let's dive right into that POS.
So you heard about this, Casey, I'm sure, right? Gwen Barry.
Oh, yeah.
So let me lay out what exactly happened for people who are not familiar with the story or who even Gwen Barry is, because she's honestly not even that notable. So Gwen is an Olympic athlete for Team USA who competed in the hammer throw for U.S. track and field Olympic trials back on June 26th. So it was a couple days ago. She finished in third place, and when the national anthem was played, like after they get up on that podium, she turned away from the flag and towards the cameras with a disgusted look on her face, and she put a T-shirt over her head that said "activist athlete." So this, of course, ignited a shitstorm
as it should have.
Social media. Dan Crenshaw chimed in on it and really roasted her about it.
Man. Yeah.
What do you guys think about? What do you guys think about anthem protests or what she did?
You go first, Casey. You're the guest.
No, it's funny. Let's start from a perspective of reality. And you said, who the fuck cares, man? Who is she? And again, she's an Olympic athlete. That's awesome. Congratulations. But back when Kaepernick was doing this, it was frustrating. And I got to be completely honest. If I had to choose between national anthem protest and BLM riots burning down small businesses, I'm going to go with the anthem protests.
Yeah.
But because I can have my opinion of, I think she's foolish, and I think it's ridiculous that she's pointing out whatever it is she's standing for, or standing on and supporting, when the country that's supporting her is what she's actually protesting. It's just so ironic. It's gross. But I mean, honestly, man, I think we give too much credibility to things like that. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, there's definitely an issue because she came in third. So I don't even know if some people, like, she was the worst out of the three of them. And
this is also a trial.
Yeah.
Right. It's not, she came in third in a trial.
She's literally that meme of like the people on the podium and the guy in third place spraying himself with champagne.
Yes.
That's who she literally is. She's a living, breathing meme at this point. I know you have a bunch of notes because I knew some other stuff too.
Detail. I got so much stuff on this.
This is, I mean, the most pathetic form of virtue signaling.
Yeah.
She says, "Oh, the national anthem doesn't stand for me" or anything like that.
I'm gonna get into that.
Bullshit. You are literally competing for America. The national anthem does stand for you. You're representing it. If you don't like the country, like, go perform for another country. Don't perform at all. It's asinine. It's one of the most ridiculous things. Like I said to you earlier in a text, like, I have a funny feeling like the name of this episode might be like "What the fuck" or something, like, because just nothing makes sense anymore. But the other issue is like you said, the amount of coverage that she is getting for this. She's a hammer thrower. Nobody we know, follows hammer throwing like that.
How about the ladies who came in first and second place?
Nobody knows their names.
I don't.
Yeah.
Me who
Exactly.
even looked into this. I didn't even waste my time looking up.
Well, like I said, it worked for Kaepernick. What football team did he play with after that? None. But he became a professional virtue signaler.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
So maybe that's a strategy,
I think so.
Oh, it definitely is. Because if I was an athlete, 100%, I would have just shown up and been like, "F Trump," and then on November 3rd voted for him anyway. but because it's a money making scheme.
Yeah.
He says she's fighting against fascism, but the second you show up with a paycheck, she will say whatever that paycheck tells her to say. It's the
Yep.
bottom line. And you know, something that I was listening to somebody about, and he was so correct on it. He's like, these virtue signalers, the majority of the time, like an athlete who has this big platform, you know, we're trying to create the platform. If you're in the Olympics, you already have this platform. You are going to go with the mob. You are going to virtue signal because corporate America isn't for us, it's for the mob. You know what I mean? They're following the agenda. So if you don't want to lose your sponsors, you don't want Coke to drop you or anything like that. You're going to walk this path. You could tell us you're fighting for fascism, but you're really fighting for your corporate sponsors and whatever agenda they're pushing.
Yeah, I think it's even Joe Rogan has said it like a lot. You know, let's use Hollywood for an example. Even, you know, obviously Hollywood, their whole mentality is very liberal, very left leaning, but a lot of them just kind of say that stuff because they know they have to, and then they'll have like a private, different.
And then they'll have Trump parties. Yeah,
right.
Yeah, it's
so. Yeah, exactly.
You want to jump in?
So I'll give my personal opinion, and then I'm going to go into some detail, and I'm going to completely deconstruct everything she did and said, because I also have her reaction. But my personal opinion on like people not like kneeling for the flag or turning away from the flag, whatever. Let's go back to Kaepernick, right? I honestly don't have any problem with someone kneeling for the flag, right? This country is so great that you can do that. That's your freedom to choose to do that, right? Personally, do I like it? No, but I have no problem with it. I try and like separate my personal feelings from America lets people do that.
Shit, you're not doing identity politics?
And I remember a couple of years ago, we went to a Giants game and we were waiting online to get in. And this was actually against the 49ers when Kaepernick was playing. And this old Vietnam vet comes up to me. We're waiting online to get into the tailgate. And the Vietnam vet is like, you know, let's show them they want to disrespect the flag. Let's not go in there until halftime, you know, and not spend any money for half the game. And I'm like, I understand what you mean.
Yeah.
I'm like, who's going to really lose out here?
Yeah.
You know, you bought the tickets to come here. I'm going to go in. And, you know, I don't like what they're doing, but it's their right to do so.
You got to get your money's worth.
The difference here is that was a Giants 49ers game within America. This is a Team USA international
representing.
event.
Yes.
When you're on the 49ers, like the 49ers are your team. So when you're on Team USA, I think Tim Pool said this. He's like, imagine if the Cleveland Browns won the Super Bowl, and then at the end they were like, they threw off their jerseys and were like, "Fuck the Browns."
F Cleveland, yeah.
I hate Cleveland, yeah.
Right. Well, why are you there then?
Yeah.
Why are you there then? Don't represent the team. And if you don't like the team, you know, that's fine.
Yeah.
No one's forcing you to be on Team USA.
And I love the argument of, oh, I want to represent America so we could show the world what we can really be. What are you showing the world that America, fine, America's not perfect, but what are you really showing if you're going to act like this and you're going to show that you don't like the country, but you single-handedly are better than the whole country, so that's why people should like the country? You know what I mean? Like, you get what I'm saying? Like, her stance is that the country has failed her, it doesn't represent her, but she still wants to perform for the country to show the world that we could do better. You're not showing anything better.
100% ironic. It's one of those things I heard, if it weren't for double standards, the left wouldn't have any. I think it's just absolutely asinine, like you said. And like Kaepernick, man, he spoke for police brutality. It's one thing if it's something that is actually systemic, that is actually the data supports your argument.
Right.
And police brutality, it doesn't. It affects more white folks than black folks. And then same with this situation. An African American being sent to represent the U.S. obviously doesn't show oppression in that stance.
Yeah. Are you guys familiar with Jesse Owens and the 1930-something Olympics in Nazi Germany?
No, I was thinking of something.
So, quick history lesson. Jesse Owens, there was an Olympics back when Hitler and the Nazi Party were in charge in Germany, and, you know, the United States had its athletes go to this thing, and Jesse Owens went, I believe, to run track, and this is in Nazi Germany. They don't like black people in Nazi Germany, right? He went there. He gave them a fucking whoop for. He won. I think he came in first place in whatever race he went, and he had to go up there on the stage right in front of Hitler. You know, the American national anthem plays, and he gives a salute. He comes back home. They have this huge dinner for him. FDR, like, you know, thanks. You
That's
know,
fantastic.
Good job. You know, you went over there and you showed, you know, those fucking Nazi bastards what's about. And then they were, you know, they had this nice dinner for him, right? And they're like, okay, see you later. Remember, there was still segregation back then. So they had a dinner in honor of Jesse Owens, but he wasn't allowed to stay at the dinner. He could only come and take the award,
stuff,
take the picture with the president. And they're like, all right, we'll see you later. And
That's
it was,
insane.
that was just the way things are. Was that right? No. The great thing about America is that we fixed that.
Yep.
Right? That shit like that don't happen anymore.
We fixed it so much that we're actually going back to that. Yeah. So
but just to put in perspective there.
Right.
Yeah.
So, all right. To be fair, let me give her Gwen Barry's response here to this whole backlash around what happened. So she later says that she felt set up because the athletes had previously been told that the anthem would be played either before or after their medal ceremony. The peaceful protest drew backlash from conservatives like Rep. Dan Crenshaw, who said that she should be removed from the U.S. Olympic team, even though the U.S. OPC decided in December that athletes who peacefully protest or demonstrate will not be punished. Fair enough. So they can't be punished for protesting. Gwen Barry said, I never said that I didn't want to go to the Olympic Games. I never said that I hated the country. All I said was I respect my people enough to not stand or acknowledge something that disrespects them. I love my people, point blank, period. Barry reiterated. Is it Barry or Barry? Sorry.
I've been saying Barry.
Barry. I guess it's Barry. Sorry, Gwen. She reiterated that she felt like anthem playing was a setup and explained that her protest was against the historical racism that the song represents. And she goes on to say, if you know your history, you know the full song of the national anthem, she said. The third verse speaks about slaves and our blood being slang and pilchered all over the floor. It's disrespectful and it does not speak for Black Americans. So I read this and I was like, what?
WTF?
So
the one thing I have to say, because this has been irritating me all day, I was set up. Are you out of your mind? I was set up. You are competing for America. I'm pretty sure at all these trial runs, anytime anything happens, they play the national anthem. There's no way you're being set up.
News national anthem played at Olympics.
Do you really think the DJ of the stadium was like, okay, wait, now play it now. Like, we're gonna get her with this one. You know what we're gonna play? National anthem.
Okay, let's be real. Even if they were told they weren't gonna play the anthem during whatever, it was probably a mistake. You know, is there some sort of evil scheme by the anthem player or whatever?
Yeah. From what I understand is through these tryouts, every time people take the podium, they play the national anthem. So it probably gets played on repeat 100 times a day.
Yep. What stood out to me here was this absolutely insane comment about the national anthem. And I'm going to again reiterate this and I'm going to go into it. She says, the third verse speaks about slaves and our blood being slang and pilchered all over the floor. It's disrespectful and it does not speak for Black Americans. So first of all, let's start with the Star Spangled Banner, which is our national anthem, right? Let's remember what the song is even about. It was written by Francis Scott Key in 1814 during the War of 1812. The stanzas in the poem recount the Battle of Baltimore, a days-long siege between British and American forces. So I went and I got the third verse here of the Star Spangled Banner, which we don't really recant in the song when we do like a football game or whatever. This is like the long version, I guess you could say, of the Star Spangled Banner. Bear with me, I'm going to read it because I think this is extremely important. So the third verse goes, and where is that band who so vauntingly swore that the havoc of war and the battle's confusion, a home and a country should leave us no more? Their blood has washed out their foul footsteps' pollution. No refuge could save the hireling and slave from the terror of flight or the gloom of the grave, and the Star-Spangled Banner in triumph doth wave, o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave. So what does this verse mean? I broke it down, right? Line number one. Francis Scott Key describes the British as an arrogant and boastful in the lyrics. That band who do vauntingly swore. That's the British. Line number 2. He is venting his anger at the British with the foul footsteps pollution lyrics, inferring that the British poisoned the ground on which they walked. Line number 3. But the poison and corruption had been washed away by the blood of the British. That's what he's talking about. Right? Sorry, okay. This is the most important part. I highlighted this, right? The verse, I guess you could say that in question that she's talking about is no refuge could save the hireling and slave. So the hireling refers to the British use of mercenaries, the German Hessians. I don't know if you guys are familiar with them from American history. The German Hessians were like mercenaries that the British hired.
Okay.
They were like German soldiers the British
Yeah,
hired.
they're mercenary.
Sent them over here to fight against against Americans in the Revolutionary War of 1812. So the hireling refers to the British use of mercenaries in the American War of Independence. And slave is a direct reference to the British practice of impressment, kidnap American seamen and forcing them into service on British man-of-war ships. This was an important cause of the War of 1812.
Yep.
What does this have to do with African slaves that were in the United States at the time?
You know what the protest says to me? That our education system is failing people.
Yes.
What did I tell you today?
We don't know what the fuck that context means. Or you got to admit, those are some sick lyrics. Very deep, very poetic and powerful.
Right.
It's just the lack of education and the irony to say, if you knew your history, dude, come on, that's just a slap in the face. It's just basically saying I'm an idiot, but if you weren't an idiot, it's just confusing.
I mean, this took me 5 minutes to put together. I didn't know exactly what Francis Scott Key meant.
And you're not an Olympic athlete.
No, but so
Maybe you should be.
Yeah,
I should. Maybe if I'm the drinking team or something like that.
USA drinking team, baby.
So look, everything she said was wrong. I'm sorry about the anthem. That's not what it means. Literally. This is what the words Francis Scott Key meant. So either, her comments are misguided. Maybe she's ignorant on this. Maybe she hasn't done the research.
You're going to go with ignorant.
Or maybe this is part of the critical race theory, revisionist history, where we just change what everything means, change the foundation of, the country and everything, and we just completely make an alternate history.
Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking about it, because it's not.
That's the whole point of the 1619 project.
Yes.
To reinvent American history based off of racist stigma, 100%.
Yeah. She's buying right into the agenda. She's buying right into critical race theory. It's not worth having her compete for America. Things are crazy right now. They were no better before, but things are super crazy right now. And it's just, I was so angry to see, how poorly Biden did at the G7 summit meeting, right? He really just flip-flopped. He got lost. He's bringing cheat cards to meet Putin. Literally Putin had warships 300 miles off of Hawaii the second they started their meeting.
Also shooting at the British.
Yeah, threatening the British.
Although they were in the Russians' waters at the same time. So,
but we can't protect our own allies and all this stuff. And everybody, especially world leaders and people around the world, they follow American news. We, as Americans, we don't really do research to, there's BBC and all that stuff, but we don't know what goes on around the world. But other countries are very much invested into American media and news, and especially world leaders. So now 1 week we have our president, just shit in the bed at the G7 summit meeting. And now we're getting ready to gear up for the Olympics that had to be moved from last year to this year.
Oh, that's right? It's last year's Olympics.
They're still calling it the 2020 Olympics. Yeah. And here we're not even there yet. And American athletes are already fighting because they don't like the country. It's getting to the point. I actually screenshotted a meme of it. Hold on. Let's see where it is. Please hold. The radical left is now competing to see who can out-hate America the most.
Yeah.
Wow.
on the competition where America's supposed to beat other
Yes.
countries.
Yes. I don't know if you remember this. I think it was like Michael Phelps' last year swimming for the American Olympic team. And we were at Tequila Sunrise. Yeah.
Probably don't remember.
Yes,
but okay,
exactly.
yeah.
That's why. And I remember him just trashing everyone. And the whole bar is screaming, USA, USA, USA. What are we going to do this time around now? Like, everyone is going to be chanting USA. And then this person's going to get up there for a gold medal and be like, fuck the USA.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Like Gwen Berry's gonna win, the whatever
Yeah.
track and field, and then she's gonna,
Yeah,
like we're gonna be like, fuck, we won.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, are you really going to give us your all to win too? Like,
Apparently not, because she didn't.
Yeah.
She came in third. So
what do you got left on here? What do you got left for Gwen?
Man, I think we said it all. I think it testifies to our lack of education. The echo chamber of the elite, the athletes, the wealthy, the media is just preaching to them what they want to hear and all this nonsense. And then they have this virtue signaling of we're a racist nation. I can't escape this racism that I have. That gives them some solace about being the way they are. And it's just then that flows over internationally in situations like this. And it's an open invitation to other nations that are like, hey, I wonder how weak the U.S. is.
Yeah.
Weak enough that their athletes hate them. I think it's a good time to strike.
Yeah.
Stuff
yeah,
like that.
honestly, you're right. There was recently negotiations between the Chinese officials and like Biden's administration, and Secretary of State Tony Blinken was there. And the Chinese, I think Blinken tried to bring up the Uyghur genocide going on in China. And the Chinese were like, well, what about America's genocide of black people in America? You guys treat black
Right.
people.
Oh God.
And I think Blinken was like, yes, we have our own problems that we're working on to fix, etc. What the fuck? You just gave up your negotiation, or even trying to like address an actual genocide.
Yeah. Because they'll never actually, if they.
But that's to your point, that they're going to use this shit against us, and like trading deals
100%.
and whatever.
Yeah, 100%. I want to say the left and the Democrats, but it's the conservatives too, because the conservatives don't stand up for much either to get things done. The real issue with, I'm going to say, the Biden administration, which is the Democratic Party right now, is they wouldn't talk about that genocide, because if they talk about it and they address the problem, then they're going to have to fix the problem. And then there's one less problem to help fuck up the world. You know what I mean? They won't really address the crisis at the border, because if we fix that, then there's one less crisis to push our agenda on.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, that's something I've learned recently.
Yeah.
They thrive off these crises.
Yeah.
Or they thrive off of something like Medicare for all. Like
nothing gets fixed.
They want, Bernie says, I want Medicare for all. AOC says, I want Medicare for all. But they do nothing to actually accomplish these things that they want. Because I just recently figured out they're just using it as a carrot on a stick to fundraise. If they pass Medicare for all, well, no one's going to want to, give them money anymore to get Medicare for all.
Yeah. Yep. Like we were talking about the climate change. Okay, if we paid all this money, we did the Green New Deal. What happens when climate change is over? Like, is January a warm month and June a cold month? Right. Like,
yeah.
What is the fixed climate crisis look like? What's the new world when all of our tax money went to this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. You made that point. Tell me how paying more in taxes will fix the climate.
Yeah. Yeah. Don't know. Are we literally throwing money at the ozone?
I guess so. Yeah, maybe. So go ahead. Shoot, let's go on to the next topic.
I was going to say, so I guess we'll end it with critical race, or you want to go right into it? Because I mean,
whatever. That was the only notes I had.
That's fine.
I'm down for just an open conversation now. I just wanted to
let's get into critical race theory, because it's going to be the next big part of it anyway. And since I kind of feel like she is just pushing critical race theory,
this is critical race theory in practice. Yes.
So this is something. We asked Casey if he wanted to bring any topics to the table, and you came up with the critical race theory. So Casey, you are a father, correct?
Absolutely. Yeah.
So, and you live in Little Rock, Arkansas?
Yes, sir.
So Arkansas is one of those 21 states that's got constitutional carry. How you feeling about that? You enjoying it?
Every day, my man. Every day.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's great. So wait, question. You kind of said it the other time. So if me and Skaggs over here came to visit you, we could just strap one to our hip and walk out the door and no problem.
Absolutely. I'd have to mail it home, but you can absolutely carry it around wherever you want it, excluding federal buildings, of course. But yeah,
Okay.
anything that's legally a pistol. And there are some ARs that are legally pistols.
Pistol, yeah, I know about that.
Yeah, but yeah, and people are like, "Oh my god, what do you want people walking around with AR-15s?" Why not?
Yeah.
Why not? But at the same time, are you going to really walk around with it? It's like not,
No,
it's
who
not
really
realistic.
does?
Maybe you will because you feel like doing it, but
Yeah, because you want to be a psychopath,
right? But it's not like practical to walk around with this sword on you.
That's the funny thing too about like everyone who is like opposed to this like constitutional carry. All the like, I'm sure like there's a few idiots out there with like the 44 Rick Grimes Magnum on their hip and stuff, but everybody's like packing a little like 9mm that's about like 3-inch barrel with nothing to it.
Yep.
But all right, so you're a father. Have you seen any issues in your children's school, or where do you want to go with this topic?
Man, not here. Luckily, it hasn't affected us too much. We're more concerned with the jab situation and them having potential to get that without our consent. But that's why I'm considering running for school board, so we can insulate it and stop all that stuff happening. But man, as far as CRT goes, there's nothing hitting us at home. But I mean, dude, we see the writing on the wall, just like we did with the potential for what happened in November. Trump having more votes than anyone ever except Biden. We saw that. We saw all this stuff happening and coming this way. And we're not a swing state, so there's no impact it can have in that. But as far as CRT goes, it's just blatant racism disguised, and I'm in marketing, so I see marketing.
Mm-hmm.
It's just disguised as anti-racism. And who in the world doesn't want to be against racists? Everyone does.
Right.
But you can't agree that just because you're one color, your skin, you have a certain level of melanin, you can't say that you are innately racist. It's just not the case. And then on those same standards, exclude those that have a different level of melanin to those same rules. It's just not logical. And it just doesn't make sense. And luckily my kids, they're 8 and under. And we've got a 4th on the way. So pretty excited.
Congratulations.
Show. Talked about that. But they haven't had to face it. And some of their best friends are every single color you can imagine. And it's just something you're taught. It's not anything. And that's the problem I have with CRT. If you start teaching it, then they're going to start being racist. And then the thing I say about the Democrat Party is there a solution looking for or trying to create a problem? So they're trying to create racists so they can talk about how there's white nationalists hiding behind every corner.
Yeah, we've said that so many times.
We've said, this entire, there's systemic racism, and then they start signing bills into law that are implementing systemic racism. So when everyone forgets that the Democratic Party wrote these into law, they go, look, there's proof, systemic racism. It's been there the whole time. They're implementing it now. And there's also something you said where they hide behind this. It's the shield. Why is Congresswoman Omar untouchable? Because you criticize her and right away you're a sexist, you're a racist, you're Islamophobic. Why did Biden put a transgender in charge of the education system, whatever? So when you talk against this, you're transphobic. It's these people are being put in these positions not because they're qualified, but because they have this built-in innate shield that they could use against any type of criticism.
Yeah, and then they could pass this pro-establishment policies, continue the wars. God forbid you talk out about the war in Afghanistan. Oh well, that will the Taliban is bad, so we're gonna undo women's rights in Afghanistan. It's all bullshit. The thing about critical race theory that I'm finding interesting also is if you guys haven't noticed, first of all, there's been a tremendous backlash.
Yes.
When I brought critical race theory up to you just a short few months ago, you didn't even know what the fuck it was.
We had to have a teacher come on and teach everyone.
You're right. And that was episode 59. We're on 75 right now. So boy, things have changed in a short period of time, right around when we even brought it up. Like this like spark happened, and I'm seeing videos all around the country of parents are pissed. And they're going to the school board meetings and they're speaking out about it. Not only white parents, I'm seeing black parents also speaking out about it because they don't want their children to be taught they're a fucking victim.
Exactly.
When you're a little kid and you're taught like that white kid over there is an oppressor, and no matter what you do, you'll always be a victim to him. That black kid's gonna be like, wow, this sucks.
Yeah.
And he's gonna walk out of that building with his like head, you know, slumped down.
And
what kind of shit is that to fucking teach children? They don't understand politics or like social pressures or what's going on yet. There's a difference between teaching this stuff in college or even discussing this in college, right? You could discuss theories in college, right? You're an adult.
Yeah, you're mature.
You know, even if we don't agree with it, fine. You're an adult. You could discuss theory, but children don't know shit. They're just children. Just teach them what actually happened. Teach them fucking math, and that's it. They're even where the thing is, if you say like a lot of these school board meetings, right? If you go there and be like, I don't want critical race theory being taught to my kids, they're gonna be like, we're not teaching it. We're just teaching them history. We're just teaching them
history.
We're just teaching them math. And one of the ways that critical race theory is being taught in practice is they'll take like a division problem, right? You guys remember back in school, they'll be like, you know, Jack has 10 apples and you know, Mark has 5. If you take Mark's 5 apples away from Jack's 10 apples, how many apples do the two of them have together? 5 apples, right? They're introducing like something that's like racialized into that math.
So now
problem.
the math equation's about race.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't know, but let's use, for example, you know, Jack is a black kid and he has $10, and Mark is a white kid and he has $100. How come Mark has $100 more? Like, what's the difference in them?
Why does he have $90 more?
You know what I mean? Like,
because he's white.
That's how it's being done in practice. And I've even gone back and forth with some people on Twitter. I remember last week, or maybe it was this week, some guy was like, he was like, conservatives are getting critical race theory conflated with history. It's like they're not teaching critical race theory in school. They're teaching history. And I commented on it. I was like, so you're saying they're teaching critical race theory in school in place of history. You're just calling critical race theory history. And you're using some sort of wordplay here to make people be like, okay, they're not teaching critical race theory. They're just teaching history. What he was insinuating, this is like a blue check person.
Yeah, well, blue check people are agenda pushers.
And he was, you know, he's insinuating that critical race theory is the real history. And that's what we're teaching in school, not critical race theory. We're just teaching actual history.
Right.
So.
Well, that makes me think of an Abraham Lincoln quote that will probably segue straight into the Jen Psaki topic. If you have a dog with 4 legs and you call its tail a leg, how many legs does it have?
Yeah, 5 legs.
No, the answer is 4. Just because you call something a leg doesn't mean it's a leg.
Right.
And it's just because you call CRT history doesn't make it freaking history. You know what I mean? So, and that comes back to the Gwen Berry thing, man. Like, she doesn't understand history. She thinks she does. So she's like me after 3 more drinks. I have this courage that is fake and not built on reality. And I think I'm cocky enough to know what history is. It's all interrelated.
Oh,
but
yeah.
That's what it is.
It's amazing how much is connected.
Are you guys familiar with the quote, there is no truth but power?
Wow.
Not really.
This is an ideology that a lot of liberals, a lot of Democrats are following, right? There is no truth but power. We'll gain
whoever's
power. Whoever's in power makes the truth.
Yeah.
Okay. Take a step back. In reality, the truth is the truth. Reality is reality. If I throw this fucking glass and it smashes over there, and then, you know, I ask you a week from now, did I throw that glass and it smashed over there? You're going to go, yeah. Or you might go, no. It still actually happened.
Right.
That's what really happened. But if, you know, you want to say that's not what happened, okay, you could say that. And if you keep repeating that over and over, maybe I'll change my mind.
Project Mockingbird.
Yeah.
So my whole thing with this history is that from my point of view, they're looking at it all wrong. They want to erase history. There's that big uproar because they don't want to take down the Confederate statues in the Capitol building. All like 120 Republicans voted against removing statues of Confederate generals from the Capitol building and stuff.
The U.S. Capitol building?
I think so. It's a small story. They're trying to make Republicans look bad again, whatever. But this is just erasing history, and critical race theory is just twisting and redefining history. Instead of saying you're a victim, how about we teach kids this is what you need to do so we don't have victims anymore. Critical race theory is only interested in creating more victims. If they were really for the children, and this is my argument when people want to come at me with, oh, critical race theory is important to learn. Fine. Learning about our racist past is important, but we should make less victims from it. Erasing it isn't going to fix it. Telling people they're victims isn't going to fix it. Like Professor Giordano said, his son said, why do people hate why does everybody hate white people so much? He's 10. He has no idea. You said your kids are 8 and below, but they have friends of all different races. That's how I grew up. That's how you grew up. All of America really is like that. You know what I mean? Like, I've always had friends of different skin color and stuff like that. Was never an issue
To a certain
like,
extent. Yeah. There's obviously still like certain areas that are more,
yeah,
but for the most part, yeah.
I'm sure, but
We're a
I
melting
mean,
pot.
yeah, but when you take it into, where are you really going to, are we going to go into some little 100-person town in Alabama when
Right.
there's only one black family in there and then be like, oh, this is a racist town? No, this is just the demographic of the town. There's nothing we could do about it. But there's no way you can convince me that this is good for our kids by making more victims.
No, it's not.
And also with the black parents going out against critical race theory, it's got to be insane for these parents to see their kids being turned into victims when their whole life was spent not being a victim, was being told you need to rise above, you need to work harder and achieve more. You know what I mean? Because this is only relatively new.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been around for a while, but
No, it's been around for a while.
yes,
but
the uproar is new, which is also the best thing because people are finally waking up. It's a slow drip now, and look at how much has happened in the past few months.
Yep. Casey, you made a good point before. You said marketing and how this smells of marketing, and that's really exactly what it is. This is a Marxist ideology that comes out of like the Hegel Institute, I believe, in Germany. And I was just recently listening to something about this, and they were saying how this is just a way for Marxists to rebrand Marxism. And, Marxists used to target class, like the class struggle of the class is the worker rising up against the, like the owner class, etc.
Elites.
And that failed, right? We won the Cold War, the Soviet Union, etc., disbanded. So the Marxists have now come back and they've realized we need to remarket this Marxism. So forget about class, which I've said is even the real problem within America. And we need to rebrand it at race and racial identity, because that will really get people going. And, and look at Black Lives Matter. The literal symbol of Black Lives Matter is a communist red power fist.
Yep.
That's like subliminal messaging. I think, or maybe I was on the Last Slice podcast when we were talking about how like Nickelodeon had a
that transgender woman
had like a right. It was like a commercial or something during Pride Month. Fair, whatever. It was like a clown, a rainbow clown who was
no, it's not. She's a transgender. I don't think she's
I'm sorry.
a clown.
She looked, but she was dressed like a clown, kind of.
Yeah, well,
maybe
that's her get up.
Sorry. Anyway,
that's her actual get up. She walks out of the house like that every day.
Hey, whatever. Teach us on. I don't judge. I don't judge. My point on this Nickelodeon commercial was that it's a commercial of her. She's transgender. Fine. Rainbow flags. Fine. And then towards the end of the commercial, when like the rainbow flag and the transgender flag is on the screen, like the red power fist comes up on the screen and is like flashing. And I'm just like, what the fuck? Yeah. That's like subliminal messaging. It doesn't say Black Lives Matter. It's just the fist. If it said Black Lives Matter, like in words, all right, fine. They're trying to talk to Black Lives Matter. It was literally the fist. I'm like, this is literal communist subliminal messaging or something like that.
100%.
Yeah, I think the scary thing is they believe in all that too. So the best marketing is whenever you believe in what you're trying to market and promote. And I think they truly believe in that. Like if you guys follow James O'Keefe and Project Veritas, they did that. They were snooping in on their weekly or conference calls, right? And they were just talking about all this stuff going on CNN and what they were planning, and it was anti-Trump and it was all this. The scary thing was they believed everything they were saying, because I always wondered, like, do they just say it to get the Trump bump, right? To get that digital spike, to get those ratings and the money, or do they? There's one of them. Sorry.
Yeah.
Or do they actually believe it? And the terrifying thing is they believe it.
Oh yeah.
That's a good point. I've always wondered that too. Like, do they actually believe this, or are they pushing it just for ratings?
Yeah.
'Cause- and then I was telling even you, boy, their ratings have tanked
Yeah,
since Trump's been gone. Like, tremendously tanked.
I know. I'm 50-50 on it because I used to be in the media as well. Um, there definitely is some portion of the media that, believes it. I'm sure more at like CNN and MSNBC like truly believe it. But then if you look at the new stuff that's been coming out against Fox on Project Veritas, like one of their program managers was like, I'm Republican, but the guy in New York doesn't want it. So we're only going to give this much Republican stuff.
Is this the local stuff? The local,
Yeah, what's the
right?
blonde woman's name?
Yeah, those local Project Veritas news articles were about Fox News.
Yeah.
But they were
Yeah.
local Fox
I
affiliates.
always said, I've said it for a while now, as much as I like Fox and, Fox is the right wing, the establishment needed to make one right-wing
One
news
villain,
station.
right.
It would be too conspicuous if every news station was hard leaning left.
Yeah.
So I always like said I would love to be in the back room when like they're about to come out and talk, like when some politician or they're going to bring a bill to like the floor, like there's a few of them that probably believes it, but I truly believe that there's a few of them in the back room like this is crazy. I can't believe people are buying this. Let's throw it out there.
Yeah, that's what I think is really going on. I mean, maybe, yeah, there definitely are some that wholeheartedly believe it. But you think like Chris Cuomo, Don Lemon really believe this shit. Maybe Don Lemon does, but like Chris Cuomo, guy's fucking a Hamptons.
Yeah, the
guy's Italian
more
white guy.
Yeah.
His brother's the governor of New York. Come on, you think this guy really believes this shit?
No,
please.
He's more interested in doing bicep curls and pull-ups.
We've been to the Hamptons, bro. You know how the Hamptons, what the Hamptons is like. It's all fucking rich, white, elite people. Oh yeah, they really believe in critical race theory.
Actually,
in the Hamptons, yeah, I'm sure.
Actually, I've always said the people who push this nonsense of rich white people are the bad people. White people are the oppressors and all this stuff.
It's not even okay. But wait, you said rich white people are the bad people?
Well, so in the media, well, no,
they're the ones that are pushing this shit. So they're saying that like your neighbor, every random average, like us three, we're the enemy. We're we're the oppressors.
The people that I believe buy into all this critical race nonsense and all this racial BS and stuff, I really believe are wealthy white people that have nothing to do. Because when you go to like when we spoke about voter IDs and how it's racist, you could go into any minority neighborhood and they're like, no, it's not hard to get an ID at all, and it's not racist at all. Right. So if everybody in the minority neighborhoods are saying no, this isn't racist, but the news is saying it's racist and the media is, who's really concerned in pushing this? Just wealthy white people that have nothing else to do.
There's a Pew Research done. Pew Research study?
Yes.
It was done, I think, less than a decade ago, and it asked everyone about their in-group, out-group preference. Have you heard about this? It was a while ago. It's been buried.
Go ahead. Give us background.
Yeah, they asked conservatives, they asked liberals, they asked Republicans, and they asked Democrats, and they asked men and women what their questions that help guide what their in-group, out-group preference is. So in-group preferences, you got Chinatown in a location. A lot of people of that demographic and of that culture gather together. My family is of one culture, okay? So most people have an in-group preference, and it's not racism, it's your culture. And it doesn't gauge your inability to talk to someone of another ethnicity, okay? However, the only group that has out-group preference, white liberals.
Because they got to accept everyone. They need to be accepted from everyone. Virtue signaling basically is the need for acceptance.
Yeah, it's I need to be on a team, and I need everyone to see how virtuous I am.
Well, and the racism stems from them being the point of reference is white. We have to get everyone else up to whiteness, right? That's their whole frame of reference. They think, well. We need to make it equal. Equal to what? Your frame of reference is, well, white is the top. That's what white liberals believe.
Right, that's what they're saying. That's what they're teaching people.
Else up to that point.
Right. Meanwhile, the rest of us are here like, no, it's not. No. It's just everybody should be equal. Everybody
Virginia
is equal.
West Virginia, I think, is the poorest state in the country. And there's poor white neighborhoods, there's poor black neighborhoods, there's poor Spanish neighborhoods. It's all equal. There's no limit up here of what everyone needs to bring.
Yeah.
The whole state needs to be raised up. It's
Right.
yeah. It's all for attention. It's all for distraction. Nothing's by coincidence. Look over here.
Dude,
look over here. You know.
I've told you, one of our very first podcasts, we talk about this book. It was called A People's History of the United States.
Yes.
I mean, this was way back, when we first started. And the book tried to like show how throughout the history of the country, the elites have always tried to play the common folk against each other so that the elites could remain rich and they could set the laws, they could control trade, control the economy, etc. And they used poor white people as buffers against the slaves and the Native Americans, and how this tactic has been consistently deployed by the rich elites throughout the history of the country. And this is just a new iteration, a new version of that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You said it, man. It's a distraction. The whole race discussion is a distraction from the real problem, which is classism.
Yes.
The haves and the have-nots. You've got African Americans, Asian Americans, and whites at the top and at the bottom. That distribution is more equal than what the class distribution is. So you're spot on with that.
Yeah. That kind of like sounds almost Marxist, right? Because the communists are the ones like concentrated on class, but it's not. It's like, first of all, I feel like we have all these problems of class in America because the government keeps getting fucking involved in everything and ruining.
Overreach.
If you just had an unfettered free market with no bullshit, no government, anything, everybody would be better off. You know what I mean? Like less taxes, poor people would be able to keep more of their money, and over time invest that in something and build something. You know what I mean? But the government is
they got to take their they take their cut.
Go ahead. What were you gonna say? So
we were saying how it's a distraction stuff, and it popped into my head. I don't have the exact wording, but you guys both know who George Soros is, right? Yes, of course. And so he's always hated America. He's always wanted to destroy America, no matter
country that gave him everything.
I don't know if it's the country who gave him everything. I think he's a
well, he was like
he made all, you know how he made all his money, from what I understand? He was a kid during World War II.
Yes, he was Jew police.
Yes, and he sold out his own kind to the Nazis.
He was Jew police. You ever watch The Pianist?
No, I know what you're talking about, but I never seen it.
The Nazis, like gave certain Jews the title of like Jew police, and they were there to police the Jewish neighborhoods, in the interim before they sent them off to the concentration camps.
And he said something that he wants to destroy America from I wish I had the exact words, but he said something like, I want to destroy America from within through racial divides, through a racial facade. So when you were to attack it, so you wouldn't even be able to attack it. You know what I mean? Like basically like the whole BLM movement, like they're sent here to destroy our values. But if you speak out against them, you're automatically a racist. It's basically like a foolproof, system to destroy people.
Did you say a racial facade?
Yeah.
Okay, because I Googled George Soros wants to destroy America through a racial facade. And the first thing that comes up, fact check, false claims about George Soros.
Oh, yeah. You're on Google. Are you kidding me?
I don't know. Yeah, I never looked into it.
Fact checking.
But go ahead. You guys keep going. I'll see if I can do a little research.
Well, no, I mean, it's the shield that we were talking about earlier. It was just a statement because it's all a distraction. You're presented this problem. You can't fight the problem. Otherwise, you're now the bad guy. And it just gets to run wild.
Yeah. We never got to Jen Psaki. That was what started this whole conversation.
Oh, that's all good. That's going to be short, and we could wrap into her because she's another psychopath.
The background on Jen was they were talking about defund the police, and she says, "Well, no, Republicans are now the party of defunding the police because they voted against
the
American Rescue Plan."
Right.
Yes, there we go.
It never mentions the police. Just saying.
Yeah. The funny thing is, here's where a libertarian anarchist in me is going to come out. She's almost kind of right, because I looked at a lot of statistics lately, and Biden's administration has given a lot of funding back to the police. And the reason why I have been thinking they're doing this is because they realized right off the bat, defund the police was bad. A bad idea, a bad slogan. Yeah. Right? They realize people don't like this shit. People are not going to vote for us if we support defund the police. And then they also realized, who the fuck's going to carry out our agenda if not for the police?
Yep.
Right? They need the police. And we had this conversation with our friend the other day about, a friend of ours is a cop. We had this conversation with him in terms of critical race theory. And I don't know if you saw, Casey, there was a group of parents, I think it was in Virginia.
We didn't even bring that up.
Yeah. There was a group of parents in Virginia who wanted to go to like the school board meeting, and they wanted to speak out against critical race theory, which they were saying is being taught in the schools. Like 200 and something parents signed up, and they were all on the list to speak. And after like 10 or 15 people going up there and shitting on the school board was like, that's it. Meeting's over. Everybody get out of here and leave. And the people in there were like, what the fuck? We signed up to speak and you're cutting it short. This is not fair. And some of them refused to leave. The school board calls the police show up, and now the police are put in a predicament of, what do we do? The school board's telling me that the meeting's over. The parents are telling them that they all signed up and they had a right to speak.
Yep.
What do I do? The police boss says, arrest them. Arrest them. They're trespassing, right? So I brought this up to our friend who's a police officer, and I'm like, if you're put in that situation, what are you going to do? If your supervisor says, arrest these people who are here because they're speaking out against critical race theory, what are you supposed to do as a police officer? You're going to say, no, supervisor, fuck you. Yeah. I'm not going to arrest them and quit. Maybe some cops will have a moral dilemma and be like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm going to quit. Yeah. Maybe that's honestly in that, like, I don't want to tell a cop what to do, but that's like morally probably the only right thing you could do at that point. But if that's what you're told to do, that's what you're going to do. So my point here is that they need the cops to enforce their fucking agenda, right? That's the anarchist in me, the libertarian in me.
Casey, because I have a whole rant for this. So
they've been doing this since the beginning of time, man. They really have. I mean, the whole concept of the big party switch back in the 60s and 70s. Glenn Beck actually talked about that this morning. He said, let's talk about that. The big party switch. All the Democrats went to Republicans. Can you name one? I'll give you Google. I'll give you all this time to do it. Can you name one?
Are you talking about how like the Democrats went from like the party of like slavery to the party of,
yes,
equality?
Right. That's a myth. That didn't happen. And that's just them trying to rewrite history, like you guys have been saying this whole time, to say, we've been the good guys. What are you talking about? You didn't throw that glass against the wall. You're the good guy. You wouldn't do that. And they just have perpetuated that forever. And now the window has literally been 12 months, maybe less. And it's like they went from every single dozens of Democrat cities going to defund the police, starting with George Floyd in Minneapolis, 12 of the 13 Democrat council people voting to defund the police. Chicago did it, LA did it, New York, all blue cities. And now Jen Psaki, wasn't she asked today if she can name one Republican that defunded the police? And she couldn't. She couldn't name one. So it's like, it's obviously bullshit. Yeah. But because if Trump said something true, he got blasted. How do they get away with this nonsense?
Well, because the media is compliant.
You took the words out of my mouth.
But, so this podcast, so we were into politics before we started the podcast. I wish we started this podcast at the beginning of the Trump administration.
Me too.
Not just the last year.
We would always have these conversations. We just didn't think of like, why don't we record this shit?
Yeah. And, this podcast has brought a new level to my interest in in politics because we keep the receipts. We literally have episodes about how the Democrats are going to defund the police and how this is a Democratic Party idea. And to be honest with you, like you were saying, this was the worst idea they ever had. Someone said the defunding of the police was slitting the throat of the Democratic Party.
They realized it immediately too.
Because there's no one in their right mind except for that small majority party that CNN interviews every day, all the pink-haired, psychopaths that are completely brainwashed, saying that we need to defund the police. People who've never had any real problems or needed the police. Because if you go into a crime-ridden neighborhood before crime spiked, before they defunded the police, they're like, no, we can't defund the police. This city's already garbage. Like, you get rid of the police, it's going to get worse. There's hard evidence for Jen Psaki to even say this. This is just an agenda. This is just an agenda pushing you
It's all
know,
politics, bro. It's
narrative.
politics. It's
Yes.
bullshit. Again, nothing fucking based in reality.
No, nothing.
Yeah.
Because they no longer, all these stations started tanking because Trump's gone.
Yep.
So we have no one to blame. Let's just blame the Republican Party. Let's just say whatever we
Or
can.
Tucker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just say, oh, now, well, you know what? The Republicans really want to defund the police. They're the party defunding the police. But we have the receipts. It's not the
Mhm.
truth. And so to bring up on your point, how Biden's refunding the police, I always had this issue. People don't have opinions. They just get told by CNN and the media what opinion to have.
Yeah.
You know, nobody thinks for themselves. Nobody's aware of the situation. They go, okay, police, CNN, yeah, no, police are bad. We got to defund them. And everybody was cheering when New York defunded the police. Then de Blasio started refunding the police, and there was not a peep out of anyone. No one, for all the people who cheered, they should have protested this.
He purposely tried to keep that quiet because it
Exactly.
goes against his brand.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, first off, these people who are pro defund the police aren't informed. You don't know what's going on. You don't have your own opinion. You were told what your opinion is, because if you really, so I always say I'll give it up to people who are real. You know, David Hogg said, I'm going to keep wearing the mask because I don't want to look like a conservative.
Exactly. Hey, at least
he's honest.
Yes, fine,
Yeah.
fine, bro. You want to be an idiot, cool, but
Yeah.
at least you're not beating around the bush.
Yep.
So if you truly believed defunding the police was a good thing, this is a topic you should be on top of, and you should know that your mayor is refunding the police. You should know that the Biden administration is refunding the police. And if that's something that you go against, you should be protesting, you should be screaming. But CNN never told them, never told the
To do
sheep
that, right.
to get angry.
I think it comes down to more those same people, they trust their government. And they're
Yeah,
like, well,
yeah.
well, we were against, defunding. We were for defunding the police last year. Well, I trust him. We elected him for a reason.
Mhm.
So
Right.
he might have a good reason for flip-flopping entirely.
Yeah, no,
and I think
they're smart enough to process it to that level.
yeah, and let's just for context, the three of us are probably the complete opposite. We don't trust the government at
No,
all.
yeah.
Even if it's Trump or
Yeah.
even if Dave Smith became the president, I still wouldn't trust that motherfucker.
No,
because you never know what happens.
Anyone in power, yeah.
Let's also take a second here and talk about practicality around defunding the police, and let's use New York City for an example. I'm not sure if you're familiar, Casey, with New York City and its carry laws.
Casey, have you ever been to New York? I'm sorry.
I see you have a Yankee.
Yeah, I know.
I've been there once for a week. Yeah.
Okay.
Are you a Yankees fan?
LaGuardia was absolutely terrifying.
Are you a
Oh,
Yankees
yeah.
fan?
Well, here's the thing. I'm a player fan, and I grew up with Jeter. Always loved the man. And then
Yeah,
I
me
have
too.
a couple great players. I'm a Judge fan. I actually like some players on the Red Sox too, but I figured I shouldn't wear my Red Sox hat tonight. But yeah, I am kind of a Yankees fan.
Yeah, we're pretty
Okay.
pissed at the Yankees this season.
Yeah,
but we'll
yeah.
get over it. But so in New York City, you basically cannot have a concealed carry permit at
Impossible,
all.
yep.
It's literally
I'm-
almost impossible.
Yeah, I'm going through the pistol permit right now for the state of New York, and just sitting through the class is mind-numbing. The rules that they go over.
But you can actually get a concealed carry permit though, because you're outside of New York City. I'm talking about New
Right.
York City
Oh, okay, the boroughs and
specifically, the
stuff.
5 boroughs. Of
I
New York
can't get
City.
it in Westchester.
You cannot get a concealed carry permit, basically, unless you're a police officer, a security guard, and that's really it. It's very, very specific. You could only get a resident premises license, which means you could get a gun in your home. It cannot leave your home. It's the only reason it could leave your home is because you're going to the range, and you have to basically prove that you're going
so
to the range.
it's called within reason, because in the county that I live in, New York, it's super populated, so I can't get a carry permit. There used to be a gamesman license where you could carry while you're hunting, fishing, camping, and hiking.
You can't hunt in New York City, so
Right. But I'm not in the city. So, but even outside, there's these crazy laws. So if you were to take your gun out to go to the target range, and you're supposed to only go there and back. If you were to go and get gas or go to
you're
7-Eleven,
fucked. Yeah, you're going
you'd be
to jail.
screwed.
You're going
If
to
you were
jail.
to stop on the way home,
Yeah.
you're screwed.
So my point is, you can't carry. You can't defend yourself with a gun in New York City. So now that's the basis of this, right? Now, they wanted to defund the NYPD. So that means there's just less NYPD. So if you can't carry, you're relying on the NYPD for your safety, for your security. So let's get rid of them, and let's also make it impossible for anyone to defend themselves. So a normal law-abiding citizen in Brooklyn, right, where there's been a lot of shootings and shit going on lately, they're just at the fucking mercy of some psychopath criminal who is not going to follow the rules of no carry in New York City, has an illegal weapon. We just saw a video a week or two ago of some
where they
crazy
gunned him
guy
down in the Bronx.
No, it was in the Bronx. It was in the Bronx
with that
maybe.
little girl in the middle of it.
There was a father walking.
Yeah, I
with
saw
his
that.
girl.
I saw that.
Father walking with his girl, and the father might have been involved in a gang or something, and a guy just walks up on him and just blasts away and starts shooting at him. Right? I don't know the exact specifics, but look, the cops can't just be everywhere at once. You can't carry a gun, so you can't defend yourself. But that random criminal can. He could do whatever the fuck he wants if he's willing to break the law. So no police to protect you, no self-defense. How does that make any sense?
Yep.
Look, if
guns are the problem.
I'm all for, as someone who's starting to really lean into anarchism and libertarian, I'm all for it. Get rid of the fucking cops, right? Get rid of all of them. But every single person needs to carry and needs to own guns and take their own self-defense.
Yeah, don't have already taken my liberties with it, right? You can remove the police if you want, but let me defend myself to the extent I want to defend myself.
Right.
You look at London. How many years ago did they ban guns? And now they're banning knives.
Yeah. Yeah.
Fucking amazing. That
I always said that would be next.
Whatever they want to kill them with.
That was almost comical in London because the stabbings were like through the roof. It's like people just want to fucking kill each other. They don't care what tool they're going to use to do it.
Once you get rid of the knives, they'll just start using blunt objects.
There was a funny video this past week, actually. It wasn't in London, but it was in Germany. And it was of this crazy guy with a knife. And he's walking around in a square and he stabbed like 3 people and he's walking around swinging this knife around. He's got a mask on. And I commented on it. I was like, well, at least he's got a mask on. Safety first. I got like fucking 500 and something likes on that tweet. It was pretty funny.
Yeah, I was saying this the other week. The blue states defunded the police. Crime skyrocketed. The Democrats, the blue party came into power. Biden won. Now the guns are the problem. Instead of reinstating law and order, we're going to let the crime go. So this is going to go into my new conspiracy.
Oh boy.
I've been telling you this, how I'm positive that not this administration, the establishment wants crime in these big cities to be so far out of control that you can't ring it back in anymore. That crime is so rampant because the blue states defunded the police. Democratic Party came into power. Democratic Party right away goes after the guns, not the criminals, not putting more police out there, not better training, nothing to bring the level of crime down. Mayor Lori Lightfoot, whatever, in Chicago, is more concerned if it's a white reporter or a black reporter. But on for Juneteenth, there was like 23 shootings over the weekend. She don't care about that. But she will get rid of all of your law-abiding citizens' guns. In Pennsylvania, they want to track and tax bullets. Okay, they want to put a code on each bullet. So if you shoot someone, they pull it out of somebody, go 1, 2, 3. Oh, Mr. Skaggs over here, we're gonna arrest you. We know it was you.
In San Jose County in California, they want to pass some sort of liability insurance. Where every single gun owner has to have some sort of liability to pay for like the damages done by gun violence. The gun violence is happening by people illegally using guns. So the legal people got to pay
for the illegal
fucking
it's worth
stuff. Come on.
I don't even want to say break the law, but it's worth having the illegal gun at that point. And also if you don't pay into that, they will come and confiscate your weapons. It's either or. You get confiscated. It doesn't
make any sense.
Yeah. So my new conspiracy is that they want crime. The establishment, they are the people who choose who Joe Biden could take questions from. They gave me a list. They want crime to be so far out of control that they have to federalize the police, make them like an FBI, a CIA, an uncontrollable, weaponizable entity, boots on the ground. Because there is a certain amount of law enforcement that does have a moral code. there has been sheriff's departments saying,
as individuals,
right, we're not going to enforce this law. No, we're not going from people's house to house confiscating guns. I know I'm talking out of my ass that's, but there is the risk of the bill passing, go get everyone's guns. And there is that point of some police might not do it. But now they're federalized, they're government owned. These are government soldiers. The CIA could do whatever they want all over the world.
The KGB,
Yeah,
the Stasi,
yes,
That's what I was about to say.
Gestapo.
yeah, the
Right.
exactly. Now they're not police anymore, they're the Gestapo. And every mass genocidal, you know,
Genocide that's happened.
yeah, every time genocide has happened on a massive scale, the first thing that has happened to lead to the genocide is the disarming of the population.
Of course.
Feudal Japan was taken over
Oh my
after
God,
centuries.
that's right. Yeah.
Oh, after centuries of civil war, centuries, generation after generation plunged into civil war until the one ruler disarmed all of Japan and then controlled Japan so much that they tried moving into China.
What was that? That Netflix documentary you told me about?
Yes.
He told me about this Netflix documentary. What was it called
I think it might be the Last Samurai or something.
No, it's not
samurai.
that. It was
Yeah.
this documentary about the samurai, and it was very interesting.
Yeah.
He's like, "Look, this is what they're trying to do to us." He's like, "This one guy in Japan. He's like, he beat everyone, and then he took all their swords away."
Yeah.
He's like, then they couldn't oppose him.
He went from village to village, and they ripped apart all the villages and took all their weapons, and everyone fell into line, and he became the emperor.
Right.
Hitler did the same thing.
He did.
He disarmed the population.
Yeah, he did. Yeah. So did Stalin. So did Pol Pot. Killed fucking 30 million people.
Yes, every genocide starts with disarming the population.
Guns are leverage. Guns are leverage against the state.
Guns are such leverage.
Yeah.
Americans, whether you oppose guns or not, America has never had to face warfare on American soil because how many invading forces have come here to America?
No one living.
Go ahead, Casey, what?
He's right. No one living has had to experience that.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When's what was that movie? Red October or whatever? You know, how many times has Russia invaded us? How many times has the old Mao?
Well, you know what?
Yeah,
was probably the last one. I could be wrong here, but the War of 1812, that the Star Spangled Banner was written about. You know, in the War of 1812, the British. You know, we already had won the Revolutionary War, but then there was another war again a couple of years later against the British again. And in the War of 1812, the British marched on Washington and got into Washington, burned the White House.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I think that might be the last time maybe that a foreign force.
Yeah. How many years ago was that? Like,
or even I guess you could say like the war against the Native Americans, they weren't part of.
Right.
But that's complicated.
But that's the importance of the Second Amendment. Everybody, I tell everyone this, everyone who is pro Second Amendment, anytime you deal with someone who is anti Second Amendment, ask them if they know anything about guns. Anything. Have you ever shot a gun? Do you know how to shoot a gun? Do you know what this part is? Do you know what that part does? What are these for? No clue. It is uneducated guesses. Go ahead.
Exactly. That's what I was going to say. It's about lack of education. Like growing up in Oklahoma, it's bad. I say Arkansas is a cultural upgrade for me because I came from Oklahoma. But growing up in Oklahoma, we actually had classes about field safety, gun education, and we shot guns at school.
Wow.
This is back in like the 90s. So it's like we weren't afraid of that stuff. We knew everything about it. People had it in their vehicles. And it doesn't feel like that long ago, but it really was culturally. But it's lack of education, man. And for what it's worth, I'm a Christian, and it's like people perish for lack of knowledge. That's what it is. It's just you don't have the understanding. You mentioned the KGB federalizing the police and wanting to do that. It's just wanting to create a problem that is out of control, that is a distraction so they can continue their corporatocracy and continue making money off Walmart making more money or whomever rising to the top while small businesses get shut down. And it's just this bigger thing. I mean, back to the Psaki thing to close that out. But the first principle of the KGB is always accuse your enemy of exactly what you are doing.
Projection. Dude, I've learned over the course of the past year, it's called the iron law of woke projection.
Yes.
Everything woke people do and say is projection. They say you're a racist. They're the racist. You know what I mean? Like
Tim
that's literally,
Scott. Tim Scott.
yeah, literally.
When they
literally.
attacked Tim Scott.
I've been following a lot of guys who are like scholars and college professors that study critical race theory, but from our point of view. And this guy James Lindsay, I've mentioned him a couple
Yes.
times. If you don't follow him, case you should. His name's James Lindsay, and he always says the iron law of woke projection. You always accuse your enemy of what you're doing.
Yeah, and the left has been caught in it dozens of times. Every time, oh, Trump's a Russian agent, blah blah blah. No, you were
Right.
lying and spying on him. You
Like
know,
they were working. You know, the
we
Internet Research
needed to spy
Institute.
on you. We needed to spy on you. No, you fabricated a story.
You know, to close out on guns, did we mention Biden's ridiculous comments about the nukes and the F-15s? No, we haven't done a podcast since that. I don't think, right?
I didn't,
So-
want, I didn't want to bring up this.
Oh,
old
I want to
bastard,
bring it
man.
up. I want to bring it up, right?
The
So
whispering and just what the fuck.
almost
To be
everybody.
fair, to set the record straight about that statement, he was mocking the idea of guns taking over and being able to take over the government, right?
Right.
Which was his foot in his mouth on multiple levels, and I'm sure we'll touch on them. But he wasn't threatening. Lots of people on the right have said he was threatening America with nukes and F-15s. It's like, no, he just minimized the impact guns could have, which
Right.
agreed. Great, let's keep each other in check, motherfucker, and let me have all the guns I want. You say it with constitutional carry. Let me have constitutional carry, and you don't know what I have. You can have whatever you want. You know, mutually assured destruction is what it's called. right?
Exactly.
So anyway, that's my thought on that.
Yeah, I agree. And like I made some memes, like tongue in cheek almost about it, or was, commenting stuff about how like I didn't know I needed to own nukes because they're going to nuke us. But, I was just joking. I know what you mean. Like, he wasn't threatening really to nuke us. But it's funny because a lot of his comments, again, were not based in reality. He made a comment about how in revolutionary times you weren't allowed to own a cannon. Yeah, you fucking were.
Yeah,
Right?
you absolutely were. Wasn't there a letter to Thomas Jefferson about owning a military ship,
Yes.
a military cannon-equipped ship? And he said, sure.
Yeah.
Whatever.
The American Navy.
I want a
first
naval
of all,
ship.
in
Jesus.
revolutionary times, in the times when the Constitution, the Second Amendment, etc., was written, the Navy was privateer. What does privateer mean?
Pirates.
Random fucking guys, pirates that had ships and they had cannons on their ships, and they're like, "Fuck Britain."
Yeah.
That they owned cannons, and they're
That's
just
how
normal people.
There was a point in pirate history where they were given immunity. If you quit being a pirate, we won't go after you anymore.
I actually took a course in college about pirates.
Right.
It's the dumbest
And
shit ever, but I did.
And so a lot of the people who took the immunity became the part of the Navy, privateers, because all they knew was sailing and killing. So,
Right. And so yes, I made some jokes about it, tongue in cheek, and he said, you would need some F-15s or some nukes in order to overthrow the government, but at the same time, it's about, like you said, mutually assured destruction, a leverage tool, right? Tell that to the Taliban.
yeah.
Tell that to Afghanistan. Tell that to the Viet Cong.
Yeah, not
Did
the
they have
American people.
nukes? Does the Taliban have F-15 and nuclear weapons? No, but we've been there for 20-something years, and we haven't finished them off. So no, I mean literally everything he said is not based in reality. A bunch of random guys, guerrillas with guns, can outlast or fight against the government for fucking 20+ years. The most advanced military, the most powerful military that has ever existed in the world, somehow has not defeated a bunch of random guys in Afghanistan with guns.
Well,
in
that's
20
because
years.
they keep secretly.
I know,
giving
but
them
I'm
more
just
guns.
saying, like,
Yeah.
he literally.
So why?
You know,
And then there's the January 6th example as well,
let
right?
me roll into this.
You will take this over. Go ahead. I know you're going to go for this one.
So first off, okay, if AR-15s can't beat the government, then give me my AR-15s. Okay, first and foremost, if you got nukes and F5 carriers and stuff, give me my AR-15 then, because I can't get a fighter jet.
And being that the Second Amendment is well established, it's much more a constitutional right that the government should get this AR-15s than healthcare. That's my argument.
It's true, right?
Yeah.
Healthcare is not in the
Yeah,
the Constitution.
our health is our own
problem. I guess you could say by
It
our
really
founding
is.
documents.
Yeah. But on top of it, we don't need AR-15s, but senior citizens are being arrested from the January 6th insurrection. There was not a single gun confiscated from the insurrection. This is the first time in history that an insurrection took place without guns. Okay, when I'm pretty sure when the Black Panthers stormed the Capitol, what was it, in the 60s or the 70s or whatever, they had guns. Okay, that wasn't a big issue. I mean, I guess at the time it was a huge issue, but we had a gun-free insurrection. You don't need AR-15s. And on top of it, I really feel that by him saying that, we all agree he's establishment. He's an establishment guy. The establishment would literally have no problem destroying everything just so they get the final say and the final win in it all. You know what I mean? Like if there was some type of revolt, like, and if we were using AR-15s, I'm not saying two. All right, YouTube, calm down.
To be clear, we're not
Yes.
inciting any sort of
Yes,
violence.
I'm
No,
not
we
saying-
believe in peaceful means. Go vote. Go vote for
Exactly.
libertarians. etc.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I truly believe the establishment would have no problem pressing a launch button to stop the people with AR-15s from taking over.
Yeah. You know what? I just mentioned libertarians. Libertarians call the state the murder cult. You ever heard
Well,
this?
that's accurate.
Yeah, the state loves killing people. I just texted you before. I was listening to something. This fact about how the past 6 presidents
Oh,
have
yeah.
all bombed Iraq.
I don't
And
even know what's left to bomb.
on the guise of self-defense. Holy shit, 6 fucking presidents in a row. They love killing people. But they're going to tell us, well, you can't have a gun because it's dangerous if you have a gun.
Crime is so high, we got to get rid of guns.
I think like 1.5 million Iraqis have died in the 30-something years we've been bombing them every presidency. Tell that to them.
Yeah.
Yeah, that that the American random me and you who don't want them to be bombed are the are the villains here.
Yeah. It's wild, man. So we could go on and on with the Second Amendment, but
Yeah, we could. Yeah.
you good? We going
I
on
don't
to
know.
anything
Did we
else?
read everything? I don't know.
Yeah, we even hit new topics that we got into the Second Amendment and we didn't even think about that. Casey, anything else you want to touch upon?
No, I feel good about it. I just feel like I need to invite you guys out here to come hit the ranges and like literally walk to the range with your gun strapped and really just right by the police station, say hi to them because they don't give a shit. Just really live it up like a constitutional American. That'd be great.
That would be I would definitely enjoy going out to Arkansas.
Do you guys have hog hunting down there?
Absolutely.
Oh man, I want.
Can you get in the helicopter and just go ballistic?
Well, you go helicopter out the window of your car or your truck. You have the AR with the suppressor and the night vision optics. You got to do it right. It's incredible.
All right. Yeah, that's something me and him have been really itching to do is go hog hunting.
Yeah,
We'll make it happen.
all that stuff is illegal here.
Yeah. Well, there's no hogs up here.
But
yet,
I'm
so-
saying like suppressors,
well,
all
yeah.
that stuff.
I don't really need a suppressor or anything. I would like to go hog hunting.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, cool. So, Casey, thank you for being a great fan. Thank you for being excited and to come on and interacting. I had a great time. I'm sure you had a great
Oh yeah,
time.
edible.
We do have a surprise for you. It's not ready yet. So after this, we'll get your address. We'll send it out to you. It's just a little memento to say we appreciate you for coming on and doing this with us. So, dude,
Well,
thank you.
guys. I mean, seriously, it's just been a freaking honor. I'm not saying y'all are celeb status for me, but you guys just think out loud. You don't give a shit whether it's left or right. You just want to see the truth.
Mhm.
And it's good to connect with guys like that. So keep doing what you're doing. And again, it was a privilege to be here. So thank you.
Yes.
Thanks, bro. It was a privilege to have you on. Forget
Yes,
about it.
definitely.
Yeah, our videos only get like 30 views, so
Yeah.
don't gas our heads up
Yeah.
just yet. It was, we really appreciate you like taking the time to come and talk to us, send us stuff, have conversations with us. You
Yeah.
know, it's cool to have like made a friend over doing the podcast and like just someone to just talk to
Yeah.
about
it's-
everything going on. Just like-minded individuals out there.
Yeah. When we started this, like, it was just to, bullshit and record
yeah.
it. And now, like, people, like, during the debates, people were like, oh my God, Chris, what does this mean? Like, well, like,
Yeah.
it's interesting to see like people react and come to you, and like it really changes the situation, and it makes people like you make us want to keep going and work
yeah.
harder and get better at this and change things and
Right.
it makes
make
it grow.
It's rewarding because it makes it feel like, all right, well, at least, we maybe like connected with one person.
Yeah.
And then, if you could connect with one person, you did something.
Yeah.
As opposed to somebody who sat in their house
Yeah.
just twiddled their thumbs and allowed society to go to shit.
And just
They
took
didn't say
their
a word.
opinions from CNN.
Right.
Yeah.
No kidding. And it reminds me that we are not the enemy. The corporate oligarchy, the government is trying to make us think we are. With each
Yeah.
other.
Yes.
You know what I mean? All that division and shit. So it's
Yeah.
good to have that reminder between us. So.
100%.
It's funny because this show was started on the premise of two people from two different parties, with different, he was all about healthcare, and I don't trust the government enough to give us healthcare.
Boy, that shit blew up real
Yeah.
fucking quick.
Yeah, and
once we started looking into everything with way more detail, we were both,
we're both on the same page. Like, this is
Yeah.
all garbage.
Privileged were we to be able to argue about simple shit like that back then? Remember?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's we aren't dividing each other. They, them, the establishment, the administration.
They, them.
Yeah, I'm using the pronouns. I'm playing by their rules. So, you know what I mean? But yeah, there is millions of us out there. We need, I said this to a client today, the minority has that mob rule and that loud voice. That's why people virtue signal, because they're afraid of the mob. That's why,
Squeaky wheel theory.
Yeah,
The squeakiest
athletes-
wheel is the loud one.
Exactly.
All the three wheels are running completely smooth.
Yeah, athletes are going to hate Trump, and they're going to go with the agenda because they don't want to lose their $1 million sponsorships.
Yeah.
But if the silent majority, which is the majority, stood up and fought back, and not fought back, but protested properly and was
Voted.
heard and voted and
Use their
stuff,
First Amendment.
things would change. I think Tim Pool said it, like, the Conservative Party doesn't stand up because they get shot down.
They're speed bumps.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're such painted as the enemy.
He says they're more concerned about what, like, the New York Times says about them than they are actually do anything.
Exactly, because if a conservative stands up and then the New York Times writes a hit piece on them, 2022 is right around the corner. Oh shit, the mob's going to come after me and they're going to vote me out. So it's easier to not do anything and stay quiet and let this shit happen. They're still making the money. We're getting divided. They're still getting paid.
You're starting to sound like an anarchist, bro.
Yeah, well, that's fine.
We're all getting there.
Yeah.
If the government keeps fucking up, we'll all be there.
Exactly. All right, Casey, it's been a pleasure. Thank you for coming on. Doom Nation, that was another installment of the Two Doom Men podcast. As always, make sure you like, share, and subscribe. And I'm not going to go through my spiel this time because we already pre-recorded it.
Yes, we're going to be working on, so you don't have to say that every single time.
Exactly.
Working on something new. One thing I mentioned is we did, Doom review of Loki, episode 4. So check that out.
Yes. Oh, and
yeah, that's right. Go ahead. Go into the F-Bomb Friday.
Okay, so everybody who follows us deeply, like Casey over here, knows we work with 990 WBOB. It's an internet radio station based out of Rhode Island. We love those guys. They're great. They treat us well. We enjoy working with them. And they have something going on called F-Bomb Friday, July 30th, 8 to 11 p.m. Award-winning digital media outlet 990 WBOB is bringing back its popular and fruitful charity drive, F-Bomb Friday. The Rhode Island-based digital media outlet will be breaking out the swear jar in an effort to fight cancer. On Friday, August 13th, 990 WBOB will take to the digital airwaves, tossing a giant FU to the FCC. When the host of the 5th installment of F-Bomb Friday, Cruises for a Curse. Jesus Christ. Cruises for a Cause. In 2015 through 2018, 990 WBOB was able to reach its goal of $990 in donations in less than 3 hours. The event, hosted by several WBOB personalities, features guests including celebrities, sports heroes, and more. So we will be taking part in this. We are super excited to be part of F-Bomb Friday. We are going to gather more information on our next episode, which will be on 990 WBOB next week.
Thursday.
Yes, Thursday, July 8th. We will have more information for you guys about this. We'll see how we could get donations from everybody, and we are super excited for this.
I'm excited because they've been pretty strict about, like, us not cursing.
Yes.
We're on 990, and we've done it.
Yes.
We haven't said a single curse yet.
I said shit once.
I think so, but that's not really a curse word. So I think when we do this F-Bomb Friday, I might not even come with any any nuance. I might just be like, fuck for like a half an hour straight and just be like, something like that. We'll see how it goes.
So we want to raise money. So thank you guys, and adios, Doom Nation.
Later. Casey, say goodbye.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate y'all.